Hello, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain a drama, adventure, mystery film, Ad Astra. Watch out and take care. Major Roy McBride, a 52-year-old astronaut, takes a psych evaluation and makes his way to a space antenna in the near future. When mankind have occupied both the Moon and Mars, he is high above Earth in a spacesuit after climbing down a ladder. Suddenly, everything comes crashing down, and a mechanical arm falls off. Following some bling-bling swoosh, he leaps down to disengage the power lever. As he falls towards the ground, he is fortunately equipped with superhuman composure and a parachute. He avoids passing out like everyone else who falls beside him. He even survives someone crashing through his flight umbrella. A genuine stoic, indeed. Perhaps it's because he has no one to disappoint. Back at his house, he hears the news about electrical storms all around the world. Roy attends a Spacecom meeting. They are impressed with his background and ask him if the rumor that he never had a heart rate higher than 80 throughout any of his spacewalks is accurate. Surprisingly, even throughout the duration of the accident, when they inquire if he has ever been married or had children, he says no because he does not want to expose anyone to his dangerous lifestyle. Secret information about the causes of electrical storms is disseminated. Neptune emits high-energy particle bursts known as cosmic ray bursts. It is emphasized that an uncontrolled chain reaction generating antimatter has the potential to destroy all life. Clifford McBride, a pioneer space traveler, is thought to be still alive near Neptune. Roy was 16 when the Lima project crew left, and they lost communication 20 years ago. Roy's mind appears to race as he learns that his father may still be alive, and he exhibits signs of distress for the first time. In the hopes that his father will react, they ask Roy to transmit a secure personal message from Mars to the Lima project. To keep the expedition top secret, he must travel to the Moon commercially. Roy reflects on the past and listens to an old audio of his father, hopeful about starting over. He had just soared over Jupiter and said, "I love you, son." Colonel Thomas Pruitt, an old family friend, will accompany him on his assignment. Roy informs him that he feels his father is no longer alive. Pruitt spent 31 years as an astronaut and understands how much space may tempt one to another level of escape. He feels he is still alive because of his own thoughts of escape. He had a flash of memory of being in love with Eve while preparing for his mission to the Moon. He considers sending her a customized voice message in which he tells her that he never wanted her to leave, but decides against it. He takes a futuristic commercial airline to the Moon. Roy remarks that modern technology is a farce in comparison to the fantasy they previously had. He refers to humanity as world eaters since they have another planet to mine and use as a destination. He feels his father would demolish everything if he saw it. Roy reveals how much he believes in his father, the hero. As he speaks with Colonel Pruitt again, he describes their attempts as at best desperate. Problems occur since his connecting journey to Mars is on the Moon's dark side. There is supposed to be no man's land there. Shots are fired at Roy's rover along the route, and urgent calls for help are made. Roy's suit is punctured after being grazed by a bullet, but he is able to close it. Roy fires at the adversary, and his rover launches over a crater but safely lands. 2 missiles are launched from the station, killing the pirates who were pursuing them. Everyone who was with them died. Colonel Pruitt claims he will not be able to reach Mars since he was injured during the fight. He hands him a drive because he wants him to know the truth about the assignment. Roy takes Cepheus to Mars, where mood stabilizers are distributed. Do you believe a true stoic like myself needs these foolish medications, peasants? The motivation Thomas provided him exposes the genuine goal, to eliminate all traces of the Lima project. They receive a distress call while on their route to Mars. When the co-pilot becomes afraid, Roy takes his place and boards the ship with the captain. When Roy is unable to persuade Captain Tanner to copy over the comm, he discovers him shaking. As he approaches, he notices a big baboon devouring the captain. The primate attacks Roy as soon as it sees him. Roy fights the beast off. He uses a device to shock it. Another monkey assaults him as he grabs Tanner. He closes the hatch door, relieving the pressure in the baboon room. Roy duct tapes the helmet shut and returns with the former captain. Roy takes over as co-pilot because the co-pilot must now be captain. The rocket's angle deviates upon landing, Roy requires approval from the chief pilot because it must be corrected manually. He continually requests his instruction, but he is paralyzed by dread and unable to reply. When there is no longer any time to delay, Roy decides to take matters into his own hands. He calmly and methodically stabilizes the airship. He mentions that after the incident is finished, he will not report it. They discover that they have landed amid a power spike as they enter the underground facilities. Helen Lantos, the head of operations on Mars, greets Roy. Roy is given a pre-written screenplay and a secure laser transmission is prepared. He reads the messages robotically and explains that they will provide a rescue mission if no one responds. He'd always suspected Spacecom was using him, but what other option does he have? He has a vague yearning and hopes that his father is still alive. For the first time, Roy deviates from the script and speaks about genuine shared recollections. A conversation between the police ensues, and they abruptly notify him that he will be returning to Earth soon. Roy inquires whether they have received a response from his father, but is informed that he is no longer suitable for the assignment due to a personal link. He claims that if they are going to yank him off the assignment, his father must have replied him. Spacecom does not inform him, and he begins to feel desperate. His barriers begin to crumble as his blood pressure soars past 80 for the first time in his excitement. He is transferred to a relaxing white room with murals of flowers and birds after failing his initial psychological evaluation. When Helen Lantos walks into the room, he barks at her he needs some time to ponder for himself. Then she asks Roy if he is aware that nuclear bombs are aboard the Cepheus, which is about to embark on a search and destroy mission to Neptune. Helen leads Roy to a different part of the base and tells him what she knows. She thinks his father is still alive and tells him she was born on Mars and has only visited Earth once. Her parents were on the Lima mission, she reveals. Screams are recorded, and then his father appears. People began to boycott the mission, desiring to return home and give up after 16 years of searching for a new life. That was not going to happen. He stated that they needed to continue their hunt. This is something far bigger than they are. He was obliged to react and kill everyone when the crew sabotaged the ship. To protect themselves, Spacecom has made him a hero. Roy requests that Helen transport him to the Cepheus. Helen leads Roy up to the shuttle. He descends a hatch tube and dives into the lake in full spacesuit, aided by a rope line. It's a narrow escape, and Roy barely gets it onto the Cepheus before it takes off. Roy claims that he is not a threat, but his pleadings are ignored. Spacecom orders the team to use any means necessary to neutralize Roy. They try to reach him, and when a bullet hits one of the oxygen tanks, the air becomes poisoned. In desperation, he attempts to disguise the captain, but it is too late. Roy telephones Mission Control to explain why he boarded the Cepheus, and unfortunately informs them that all of the crew members have died. Roy declares that he is on his way to Neptune to destroy any remaining Lima Project relics. To avoid detection, he turns off all communication devices and embarks on the 79-day journey. Roy watches a video of Eve talking about how busy he is with his work on board the ship. Roy inserts a food tube into his stomach as well as electrodes into his body, apparently to activate his muscles while in space. As he suffers with being alone for so long, he has many contradicting recollections, and his mental and physical health begins to worsen. Finally, Roy approaches Neptune and enters the nuclear codes to gain access to the explosives. As he gets closer to the Lima station, his spaceship is hit by a power surge and loses power. Roy sends a radio signal to Lima in order to contact his father. His spaceship has been damaged and is unable to dock. As the capsule floats away into space without him, he climbs into Lima. When Roy opens the hatch, he discovers floating dead astronauts and an old-school music video still playing. There are bizarre notes scrawled on several papers and notebooks in his father's room. He places the nuclear weapon when he finds the room with the antimatter. He is startled to hear his father shout his name. "Hi Dad, are you alone?" Roy asks after a long wait. Clifford responds that he has been alone for quite some time. Roy claims to be attempting to halt the search. Clifford explains that the previous escape attempts resulted in a meltdown. Roy tells him it's time to return home, but his father claims he's already there and has always known it was a one-way trip. Clifford lashes out at Roy. "I never liked you or your mother, or your little ideas." "I know, Roy says simply. Roy wants to return and approaches his father, who eventually allows him to guide him to his spacesuit. "I am proud of you, my son, for being so brave as to go alone," his father adds as they share a moment. They could have gone on and found what they were seeking for if they had more men like him. His team checked the data and discovered no more life, so they gave up. They exit the Lima station fully dressed, tethered by an anchoring cable. Roy invites his father to join him on the ascent, but instead his father leaps into space and instructs Roy to let him go. Roy begins to yank him back with the rope, but his father says, "Unhook me, son." So does Roy. He floats out into space, unsure of the point of even trying, but, after reflecting about Earth, he decides to return to Lima. Roy takes down a panel door and uses it as a shield as he launches himself through Neptune's rings and back to his ship. He dodges meteors on his way back via the rings and recalls collecting his father's data before leaving the Lima station. His father had photographed details never seen before, but beyond the beauty of these world surfaces lay nothing. He was so preoccupied with the life that wasn't there that he missed the beauty that was. He returns to the Cepheus using his trusty suit thrusters, landing awkwardly, but managed to grab an external handle. Roy signals back to headquarters that he has arrived in Lima and will detonate the gadget to stop the surges. He'll attempt to return using the explosion as a propellant. If he does not survive, they should go to tremendous measures to recover his remains as well as the data gathered over the years. The Cepheus trembles as it is propelled forward at breakneck speed. He approaches the Earth now that he has a beard. He has returned to Earth after a safe landing with background chatter from the comms. Soldiers rush to his aid, and despite his shaky legs, he is supported by several men. Roy takes notes on a psychological evaluation. Following his rehabilitation, he encounters his ex-wife Eve. In his final psychological assessment, "I'm deciding to live a shared life from now on," Roy explains. "I shall bear the difficulties of others and include close family members in my frustrations. I'm going to live and love." Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.